Chapter 14 of John Smith's Funny Adventures on a Crutch, or The Remarkable Peregrinations of a One-Legged Soldier After the War. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. John Smith's Funny Adventures on a Crutch, or The Remarkable Peregrinations of a One-Legged Soldier After the War, by A.F. Hill. Chapter 14, The Hudson. I spent the remainder of the spring and the first 2 months of the summer in New York, but as the extreme caloric of the heated term began to make the giant walls and solid streets of the metropolis next to intolerable, I determined to take a little tour up the Hudson and out by the lakes into Ohio, and did. But my grateful heart will not allow me to pass quietly by New York again without briefly acknowledging the sincere thanks I owe for distinguished favors to the following excellent gentlemen: Manton Marble, editor of The World; Drexel, Winthrop & Company, bankers, Wall Street; Willie Wallach, stationer, John Street; Pascal S. Hughes, merchant, Broadway; Henry S. Camblos, broker, New Street; and E. S. Jaffrey, merchant, Broadway. I can say no more. Having made arrangements to correspond with a certain well-known journal, I started, about the 1st of August, on my projected tour, taking passage on the handsome steamer Daniel Drew for Albany. They have on the Hudson River some of the finest boats in the world, low-pressure boats of immense size that never think of bragging on speed that falls below 20 miles an hour. Some of them, by straining a muscle or two, have made 25 miles an hour, and felt none the worse for it next morning. We started at 8 o'clock one August morning, and what a change of atmosphere we experienced as we left the hot streets of the city far behind us and glided up the Hudson, the most picturesque and romantic of rivers. The sky was bright and clear, and, however hot and close may have been the narrow and crowded streets of New York, the air with us was charming. Most of the passengers sat on the cabin deck, which was protected from the sun by an awning that hovered over us like the ghost of some broad sail that old ocean might have swallowed. We had not gone far when a band of musicians from the land of Horace, Virgil, Cicero, Titus, Vespasian, and the Caesars treated us with some melodious strains on the violin, harp, and some other instruments. Although we would have regarded them as a nuisance in front of our doors in the city, we now really appreciated their talent. And when they had played half an hour, and one of them came around with an empty hat in his hand, there were but few, if any, who did not acknowledge their approbation by contributions of 10-cent notes, or the like. They had just disappeared, and I was beginning to regard the delightful scenery that began to unfold itself to us along the shores, when a very black African made his appearance on deck, and leaning over a kind of skylight, called out to someone below in a loud tone, "Hello, Bill! Down there!" "What do you want?" was the response from below. It was evident that William was also a gentleman from the land where snakes, crocodiles, and savage beasts grow to their full size. "Are you going up to Albany?" asked the darky on the deck. "Yes, reckons I's gwine up there," came from below. "How'd you leave all them folks?" "Oh, well enough, but don't ask so darn many questions," said Bill testily. "Getting ready to tacky, aren't you?" "Oh, don't bother me. I didn't get no sleep last night, I didn't." By this time, the attention of the passengers in the vicinity was attracted, and all eyes were turned upon the darky. As for myself, I felt somewhat annoyed and wondered why the black cuss didn't go below and carry his animated chat with his friend instead of standing up there yelling down and disturbing the tranquility of the passengers. "Well, why didn't you sleep? It was your own fault." "Oh, let me alone, Sam," came from below. "I don't want no fooling." "I won't let you alone. You ain't going to get no sleep this day, you isn't," said Sam, thrusting a cane he had in his hand down through the open skylight. Someone appeared to seize it from below, and at the same time the voice of Bill said, "Now look here, I say I break this whole can for you if you don't look out." "Yes, you better try that," said Sam, thrusting the cane down several times, as though he were stirring a possum out of a hollow log. "Now you be careful," vociferated the voice below angrily, and the stick was seized again, and an effort made to wrench it from Sam's hand. "Let go of that now, I say," said Sam, at the same time freeing it with a savage jerk. "Then you let me alone," said Bill, in a kind of compromising tone. The passengers were looking on in astonishment. It was rather singular that this black employee of the boat, as he evidently was allowed to come up among the passengers and go to raising such an altercation through the skylight with someone below. One passenger, who had been reading, seemed very much annoyed, and at last testily said, "Oh, let that fellow alone, whoever he is." "I'll let you alone if I come up there," retorted the voice below, evidently addressing the irritated passenger. "Look out, Bill," exclaimed Sam. "That's a white gentleman you're talking to. Do you know that?" "Don't care for that. He's no worse than a black gentleman," retorted Bill. "That white cuss." "Confound him!" exclaimed the angry passenger, rising and going to the skylight. "Where is he? I'll punch his head." "Don't you wish you'd catch me? Ha ha ha!" laughed the voice in a taunting exultation, and now, to the astonishment of all, it sounded distinctly as though it were on the awning above our heads. All looked up as though expecting to see the shadow of someone there, but only the broad beams of the sun covered the canvas from side to side. "Ha ha ha! What's the matter?" yelled the same voice. "Ha ha ha ha!" First it appeared on the canvas, then under the deck, next toward the cabin door, next toward the bow of the boat, and, after apparently making a rapid circle around us, finally subsided in our midst. In fact, in the very mouth of the darky who stood on the deck. He was a ventriloquist, a skillful one too, and had been thus beautifully doing us all the time. As for Bill, the darky below, he was of course a fictitious personage. A loud laugh came from the passengers as they realized this, and the irascible man who had threatened to punch Bill's head returned to his seat, trying to look unconcerned. Sam passed round his cap for tokens of our appreciation of his powers, and each one, including the irascible passenger, contributed from 5 to 25 cents. That was the last tax we paid that day. I might give a long and even interesting account of my journey up the Hudson, but such is not my intention. There are already numerous books of travel extant which describe the Hudson as well as it can be described in words. My object is to amuse, and if I relate all the funny things that happened to me, I shall succeed. I might describe the view of the Catskill Mountains, the towns of Hudson, Peekskill, Newburgh, West Point, etc., but we'll leave that to tourists, as already hinted. But I must not pass by without mentioning 1 or 2 points on the Hudson. The Catskill Mountains, viewed from the river, present so lovely a picture that neither pen nor brush can convey any adequate idea of them. No one should live and die without viewing such scenery as this. A few miles above West Point, on the same shore of the river, the western, rises a mountain peak called the Crow Nest. Joseph Rodman Drake, an American poet who died in 1820 at the age of 25, thus exquisitely depicts this delightful region in his poem entitled The Culprit Fay. 'Tis the middle watch of a summer's night. The earth is dark, but the heavens are bright. Naught is seen in the vault on high, but the moon and the stars and the cloudless sky, and the flood which rolls its milky hue, a river of light on the welkin blue. The moon looks down on old Crow Nest, she mellows the shade of his shaggy breast, and seems his huge gray form to throw in a silver cone on a wave below. His sides are broken by spots of shade, by the walnut bough and the cedar made, and through their clustering branches dark glimmers and dies the firefly's spark, like starry twinkles that momently break through the rifts of the gathering tempest rack. The stars are on the moving stream, and fling, as it ripples gently flow, a burnished length of wavy beam in an eel-like spiral line below. The winds are whist, and the owl is still, the bat in the shelvy rock is hid, and naught is heard on the lonely hill but the cricket's chirp and the answers shrill of the gauze-winged katydid, and the plaint of the wailing whippoorwill, who moans unseen and ceaselessly sings ever a note of wail and woe, till morning spreads her rosy wings, and earth and sky in her glances glow. 'Tis the hour of fairy ban and spell. The wood-tick has kept the minutes well. He has counted them all with click and stroke, deep in the heart of the mountain oak. And he is awakened, the sentry elf, who sleeps with him in the haunted tree, to bid him to ring the hour of 12 and call the fays to the revelry. End of chapter 14. Read by Joe McVary, Raleigh, North Carolina, February 20th, 2024.